Imperial Beach is a suburb of San Diego. The city limits extend all the way to the Mexican border. It's a small city, and this may not seem like such a big deal in itself. However, there are organized leftist groups pushing for cities like this all around the U.S. to promote unvetted Muslim refugees from areas dominated by terrorist groups and to promote illegal immigration in general. There is a pattern of these well-funded subversive groups arranging for a resolution and the left-leaning city council approving it on the sly without any input from opposition at all.
Great. Okay, now we have item 1.1. Did we have any more speaker slips, by the way? Oh, for 1.1. Okay. And that's the Welcoming Cities Proclamation. And just, there's a last-minute agenda information for the regular city council meeting, and we had letters of support for this from the Anti-Defamation League, the Alliance San Diego, International Rescue Committee, San Diego Immigrants' Rights Consortium, SEIU Local 221 that represents our employees here at City Hall, Survivors of Torture International, Interfaith Center for Worker Justice of San Diego County. And then we have, before I read it, we have some speakers who would like to speak, I'm assuming, so I'll read the cards. And first we have Pedro Rios from the American Friends Service Committee.
Good afternoon, and if it's okay, I'm going to ask my colleagues to also join me. That way I think it'll be easier.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Mayor Dedina and distinguished council members and city staff. My name is Pedro Rios. I'm the director of the American Friends Service Committee, which is a human rights organization that has worked in San Diego for nearly 40 years. We work on immigration, on refugee, and on border issues. And I'd like to begin by saying that this is definitely a step forward. I certainly do commend you, Mayor, and city staff for recognizing that Imperial Beach should be a welcoming city. I grew up in the South Bay. I remember the days from long ago when there were what we call the skinhead surfers, used to pick fights with some of the kids from my neighborhood. I grew up in the Del Sol area, and so Imperial Beach was also part of my community. And so I recognize that in this time period when we hear negative comments from people seeking public office, that when a city decides to take the step forward and proclaim itself a welcoming city, it really does recognize that every single human being in that city is of value, that every single human being contributes in myriad ways that perhaps we might not even be aware of. But it offers also an opportunity for those individuals to step forward and to say, this is what I can do to make my community a better place for everyone. So I commend you, Mayor. I commend the city for taking this step forward. And it certainly does represent, I believe, what many cities around the county, around the state and around the county have been doing to ameliorate and to create communities of peace and really do welcome those individuals that are finding themselves in difficult situations in different parts of the world. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Now we have Megan Afshin from the International Rescue Committee.
Thank you so much, Mayor Dedina and respected council members. And today is such an important day. There are so many people affected by this type of proclamation. We have families that are being resettled here in Imperial Beach, one of which is a beautiful family that came from Afghanistan. And after working with refugees for 2 years, I saw some of the most amazing citizenship happening right here in Imperial Beach, because as serving with the American military, there was an Afghan soldier that came and resettled here in Imperial Beach, and the American soldier he was working with over those 10 years helped him to resettle here in Imperial Beach, get him a job as a plumber, and applied for his plumber status, and they have an amazing life, and within a year were able to resettle themselves. And so I don't think that would have been possible if they weren't welcomed, and that welcome wasn't as warm as it was. So thank you so much for taking this stance and showing the rest of our communities what it means to be a welcoming city.
All right, thank you. I have David Garcia from SEIU. Welcome back, David.
So my name is David Garcia. I'm the president of SEIU Local 221, representing about 14,000 public employees here in San Diego and Imperial counties. I'm also lucky to be the vice president of the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council. And I just want to say, you know, SEIU would like to really commend you, Mayor Dedina, and the council for your leadership and commitment on this, and making the city of IB, you know, a community of all residents feeling welcome and having the opportunity to thrive and really claim Imperial Beach as their home, and a home of immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. Service Employees International Union believes in a society that values the contributions of aspiring citizens and recognizes the integral role that new Americans play in our past, our present, and our future. Immigrant, refugees, and exiles have a long and rich history in this country, and immigrants, refugees, and exiles grow businesses, strengthen the economy, create jobs, and serve as leaders in our churches, our organizations, our schools, and our community venues. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we have heard an increase in hateful rhetoric and from public figures directed towards the immigrant population. And I would just like to say such incidents are creating fear in our communities and further isolating immigrants and refugees. By proclaiming Imperial Beach a welcoming city, it sends a strong message to the residents and that contributions of immigrants and refugee communities are important to all, and that all residents, regardless of where they come from, are valued and welcomed in the city of Imperial Beach. We appreciate your commitment to ensuring that all residents feel welcome and look forward to working further with you and the city of Imperial Beach. And, you know, as a personal note, as the former code enforcement officer, but also representing the public employees, this is a real proud moment that you've taken this step. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you.
We have Laura Moreno from the United here. Did you want to speak, or?
I can just say who I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm here in support. My name's Laura Moreno, and I am the immigration coordinator for Unite Here Local 30, and we represent hospitality workers, housekeepers, housemen, cooks, you know, different parts of the people that work in the hotels, and we're very, very proud of Imperial Beach to taking this step forward. As it was mentioned, there's a lot of people that are in fear just because of the rhetoric, even though there's been people that have been in Imperial Beach or, you know, other parts of the county for a very long time and have been residents. But, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like this is a very great step forward for them. They're going to feel a lot more welcomed as well. And with the workers that I work with, I help them become citizens, U.S. citizens. A lot of members that have been residents for 20 plus years and didn't know how to become U.S. citizens. And a lot of them live here in Imperial Beach. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for what you're doing.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And then we have Aaron Tsurumoto. Did you want to speak? Oh, did you? Okay, and then I'm sorry, Ginger Jacobs from San Diego Immigrants' Rights Consortium. Did you want to speak?
So I'm accepting.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll do the proclamation then. Okay. So, did anyone, the council members, want to say anything, or you guys? Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say that, you know, this is a proud moment for us, for the community, and we want people here who have lived here for a long time, people who are moving here, to call Imperial Beach home. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, this is home.
Great, thank you. Mr. Spriggs?
And this proclamation, I think, speaks for all of us who are open-minded and love Imperial Beach as a diverse, friendly, wonderful community. And I'm very proud to be an elected representative of this community.
So, This means a lot to me. My dad came to this country in 1939 as a refugee, escaping the Nazi occupation of Europe. My mom was bombed by the Germans and ended up coming to America. She married my dad, but was a refugee in her own country, had to leave London and go so she wouldn't get bombed. And so I have this image of my dad talking about coming to America. And I have a special relationship with the beach because my dad spent his childhood on the beach in New York and learned how to play baseball. And I was thinking about that today because I'm taking Steve Lopez of the Los Angeles Times, a columnist, to our beach tomorrow. And one of the things I talked to him about was the fact that I was at Huntington Beach recently for the state lifeguard thing. And what I saw in Huntington Beach in Orange County was that our beach has become the Ellis Island and the town square of America. And if you look at beaches now, especially our beach, they are places where people express themselves with joy. And more important, they come together regardless of race, religion, background, class, ethnicity, whatever differences, and have a beautiful time with their families. And you can see that in kids who find each other immediately and play together. And I saw that in Orange County, and I saw that today on our own beach. And it's something I'm immensely proud of, the fact that we have this amazingly hospitable beach where people come and have literally the best days of their life, regardless of what they're wearing or who they are. It's really, really great. So it really means a lot to me. And I'm really proud of the fact that we are a welcoming city. We have wonderful council members, a wonderfully diverse city staff, and we pride ourselves in this city of being very friendly. So anyway, it's really, really great. So anyway, I'll read this proclamation. Imperial Beach is a welcoming community for immigrants, refugees, and asylees. We are a vibrant and thriving community with significant racial, religious, and ethnic diversity. According to the U.S. Census, we are home to nearly 5,400 immigrants, refugees, and asylees, who represents nearly 1 of every 5 of the city's residents, and approximately 47% of all households speak another language in addition to English at home. Whereas immigrants, refugees, and asylees contribute to the economic, social, and cultural well-being of the city, and we are witnessing the largest refugee crisis since the Cold War, with more than 60 million refugees worldwide. And the city of IB is committed to recognizing the diversity and the diverse contributions of both immigrants and native-born residents. And as mayor of Imperial Beach, along with my city council, I recognize that all people are deserving of assurance of the basic principles of equality and human rights. So therefore, be it reclaimed that the city of Imperial Beach affirms our commitment to doing our part to make the United States a welcoming environment for immigrants, refugees, and asylees, and declares Imperial Beach to be a welcoming city. On that note, I was thinking about it, and Mr. Patton, I'm sure you had the same experience growing up. It's a little east of here. The kids I was friends with had parents who were from El Salvador, Japan, Korea, Philippines, Mexico, and Germany. That's just what I remember off the top of my head. So I'm sure you had the same experience growing up in just east
It's
of
pretty
here.
indicative of what's going on in our school systems right now. From elementary school to middle school to high school, we have this melting pot, and it's the kids, they get it. The kids get it. We have to make sure they get it, and then we want to make sure all the adults get it, that this is the right way to go. So thank you.
All right, so we'll present the proclamation. Anybody else wants to come up and do this? That'd be great. Yeah.
All right, you guys, on the count of 3, 1, 2. Okay. Any more?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Yeah, good deal. Thank you very much.
Mayor Dedita and City Council members, let me tell you a little bit about the organization that is accepting the proclamation. I'm the chair of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. We were founded about 10 years ago, and we're a county-wide organization that brings together over 35 different individual organizations from the faith-based communities, everybody from the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, to Catholic Charities, to the Interfaith Committee for Worker Justice, We represent unions, community organizations, and some very even tiny neighborhood human rights organizations that have just formed together at a grassroots level, student organizations, legal services organizations, and lawyers all coming together to work to further immigrants' rights as human rights. And we proudly accept the proclamation. We thank you guys very much for making it. I was thinking when you were talking about your own heritage and childhood experience, Mayor, that I actually grew up in the middle of the country in rural Indiana, and it was not a very welcoming city. It was, you know, one of those cities that had been a hotbed of Klan activity, and everybody sort of knew that if you were a person of color, you didn't live in my town, you lived in the next town over, just because of that history and that tradition. Now living in San Diego County, my daughter, who's 8 years old, goes to a wonderful public, diverse elementary school. Her friends, their family backgrounds are from literally all over the world, everywhere from Mexico and Guatemala to Eritrea, Ethiopia, and beyond. And so it's a privilege to live in a county and to be a part of a community like this that truly sees the value in diversity, welcomes immigrants, recognizes their contributions. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Thanks for everybody for coming. Really appreciate it.
2 weeks later, a group of veterans come to denounce the so-called Welcoming City resolution.
Okay, now we have Dante Pamituan. And just remember to everybody who's speaking, just to give your name and address, and then if you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Dante Pamituan, 1361 East Lane, Imperial Beach, California, 91932. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I think it's a really important thing to talk about. I have a question for you. What is going on with this Welcoming City Sanctuary Proclamation? I know I don't expect you to answer that at this time because this is probably not the venue. But me, as well as other residents here in Imperial Beach, the residents that voted for you to lead our city for our best welfare and for our quality of life here, there seems to be some kind of mismessage going on around with this proclamation. And I'm opposed to this proclamation. I think it needs to be rescinded. I think it needs to be pulled back and rewritten to the best of this city of Imperial Beach's mission, and that's to serve the residents. Well, I mean, what has changed in this whole proclamation? Why did we have to proclaim this Welcoming Cities proclamation? Why do we have to accept that? So you're getting pushback from a lot of residents that are out there, a lot of pushback. Let me remind you what the organizational chart looks like for the city of Imperial Beach. At the top are the citizens of the Imperial Beach community. Below them is the mayor and the city council. We voted you guys in to serve the city of Imperial Beach. Below the city council and the mayor is city staff, which they do a tremendous job for us. Thank you. I want to thank you for that. The mayor and others that are on the council ran on an election based on transparency. And I ran with that. I took that. And I wanted to just voice my concern about where this proclamation is headed. And it's kind of setting up a dangerous precedent. Really, we don't know what's going on with the border, you know, and to bring that into our little city. We are a border city. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I served my country proudly. There are a lot of military veterans here as well. So I want to tell you that it's disconcerting to me to read about these types of proclamations that are being published without the city council and the mayor, who's supposed to lead the city council, examples of leadership, to look over that fine print and that language of that proclamation. Got to look into it. So I want to defer if I have any more time. If there's any other speakers that want to speak on that.
Well,
So it's just, that was my 3 minutes.
great, thank you. All right, thanks. Now, Mr. Loudon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I too want
Can
to
you
express
say your name
concern.
and
John
address?
Loudon on 700 Seacoast, number 207. I too want to express my concern. This came across my desk recently. Somebody said, wow, Imperial Beach becoming a sanctuary city. And no, you know, I can't imagine that. I looked at the video. It doesn't say, I watched the testimony and I didn't see the sanctuary city, welcoming city sounded a lot nicer. But you look at who's pushing it. Just as I was sitting here, I pulled up the Immigrant Rights Consortium and I scroll down their Facebook page, and the first thing I see is San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium is deeply concerned about Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's recent speech, yada, yada, yada. This is a very political group. Most of the groups that I saw testifying are open borders advocates, very strongly opposed to enforcement. They all want everything open borders, bringing in more. I don't know what this group does. It's the first I've heard of them. But when somebody comes in, somebody's paying a social service agency of some sort to look after them. My suspicion is that Imperial Beach was drawn in kind of a pawn role, that your proclamation, what really struck is when they received the proclamation and said, thank you for giving us this proclamation. Because I know what happens. People go around, they collect these proclamations, and then they use them for something to say, hey, this area is super welcoming. Send more of the refugees, questionably or not vetted at all, over to San Diego. And oh, by the way, here's a great little community down here. It's a welcoming community. Let's relocate more there as opposed to other places. Especially being right on the border. I don't know if you heard, they're saying 50 a day are coming up. These are refugees from Africa. I don't know how the vetting is. You know the process. You cross the border, you claim asylum, you get a court date, and you wander into the country. There's no vetting. So we've got that right here at San Ysidro. They say 50 a day are coming in. And so for IB to be pulled in a political move that has national and local implications is alarming to me. And I just think, you know, this is a wonderful place to live and work. And I just hate to see us get pulled into things that have a hidden political agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. I have something from Gerald Quinn.
Yeah.
Could you say you're donating your time to Dante?
So listen, I too.
Can you say your name and address for the
Yeah,
record?
my name's Gerald Quinn, 570 Elm Avenue, Imperial Beach. Been a resident here for almost 20 years. I was surprised to hear about this proclamation also. I don't believe that it reflects the interest of the city nor the residents as well. I don't know who voted on this or whose constituents you talked to, but nobody talked to any my neighbors or any of the constituents that I are in touch with, and they had no idea this was happening either. So the fact that nobody was even notified in the city, it is alarming. It's alarming to me too. I don't believe that we should be a sanctuary city. That's not what I'm for. I came here to raise a family to a safe, nice environment, and all of a sudden we're playing politics, national politics in the city. It's ridiculous. We have too many local things to take care of and too many local issues. Again, I think that this proclamation should be revisited and revoted on, and I think we should allow to have the city come in, residents, to get an accurate vote of who really wants this and who doesn't want this. Because I have a feeling a majority of the city did not want this. They didn't even know this was even happening. I yield the rest of my time.
Great. I have Ernie Griffiths. And you say you donate your time to the VFW? I'm sorry, I'm just clarifying here. You say I donate my time to the VFW? Or are you representing the
I'm
VFW?
not speaking on behalf of the VFW.
Oh, you are? Okay.
No, I'm just as a citizen.
So you're
my
not
name
speaking
is-
on, wait, I'm sorry, you're not speaking on behalf of the VFW? Or you are?
I'm not on behalf of them, no.
Okay.
I just give time to, I'm an Air Force veteran.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm sorry. Just
My name is Ernie Griffiths. I live at 458 Citrus. The subject is, of course, Sanctuary City. I don't know if I've been sleeping for years or months or whatever, but this is the first time I've become aware of this. So that's my fault, I guess. It's been out there. But I just want to make the point. Our city has got a lot of issues. We have environmental issues of all kinds to deal with. We got streets, lights, sidewalks. You know, Mayor, all the issues going on in the city better than I do. Why would we want to make this a sanctuary city? I can't make any sense out of that at all. It's illegal. We're just going to, people who have come into the country illegally, we're just going to ignore that they're here illegally. This is very, very offensive. At least the citizens of the city ought to get a chance to vote on this. Not just the city council decide to do it. This needs a lot more public exposure, folks. A lot more public exposure. Please get it out there. Get it in the papers, hold forums, whatever you want to do. But don't make a foolish jackass city out of us by making us a sanctuary city. It's not smart. Please.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, can we clarify that our proclamation wasn't a sanctuary city proclamation at all? Had
Yeah.
no anything to do with sanctuary city at all?
Yeah, there was no language that included sanctuary city. And it did include that all of the immigrants that you're supporting must be in the country legally. And that was fairly clear in the proclamation.
All right, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming.